it is good for us to know why we are here, and especially so suddenly in terms of time. Members, as you know, we were with this team barely a month ago, and we had a robust discussion around the budget entirely and budget for Parliament. And by then we considered so many things because the space was open. But the reason why we are here, Chairman, and I know you know, I'm just saying it for record, is that after we passed the budget, the appropriations bill, we were not successful in having the other arm of the budget passed. Because budget is both expenditure and funding, financing. So expenditure we passed and we were all happy. But then we went to funding, and Kenyans told us that we need to look for other ways. And one of the way, when you are not raising funds, one of the ways is to borrow, and the other way is to cut your coat according to the size of the cloth. And therefore, we have to now look inwards and see what we can do to align the expenditure side and the financing side. So what we have done is to increase a little bit of the borrowing, because borrowing is easy, but then it has ramifications. And that is why we really needed or wanted to borrow as less as possible so that we do not endanger equitable growth in terms of time. You can grow now, but you're endangering the other phases in terms of time and generations. And therefore, we had hoped to borrow only 3.83% of our GDP when we made our budget, which was commendable, the lowest across the region, and we could be able to move away from borrowing in that kind of a scenario. But then, we have then, however, revised that to borrowing slightly more to 4.2% of our GDP. But then we are also cutting our expenditure by 177 billion Kenya shillings. And while we are still doing that, it is the same year that we need to also do too much. There is the education sector to take care of, especially the confirmation of JSS teachers. There are teachers in the health sector. There are our professionals in the health sector that needs confirmation in UHC program, and also interns in the health sector. There is some weight for us to carry as a nation. And therefore, the reason why we are meeting today is basically to look for where we can cut more. Because what the National Treasury has cut, unfortunately, has not been seen to be enough. They are appearing before us in the afternoon. And they are appearing before us in the afternoon so that we cut slightly more. And if we manage to cut 0.2% of our GDP, which is around 36 billion, it will be bearable for the economy. And therefore, Chairman, I know you are pragmatic. From the time you are a mayor, the budget would be presented to you. You would be the one implementing it. And the beauty is that you have another mayor here for Migori around that time. You are the governors. And I know you know the process. And therefore, I want to request you to help us fulfill cutting a little more, especially 0.2% of our GDP. And this is cutting across. In my entire time as in Parliament, I have never seen any other time where a CDF is being cut and people are okay with it. This is the first time. Because we understand where the country is. That we have never even gotten any member protesting that CDF, we are reversing the increment of 10 billion. They are all happy. Because we all understand that Kenyans have told us, fine, we understand what you're doing, but please recalibrate and do it slightly differently. However, we know this desert, we may get an oasis probably as we move to the next financial year. But the truth of the matter is that where we are now is where we are. And where we are now is in a forest. And the best way to move out of the forest is to look for a clear path. And the clear path now is not to go deeper to the forest. And going deeper to the forest is wanting to spend more and wanting to borrow more. We will be all lost in the forest and will never be found. So the best way to look for some light somewhere is to look for a path that has some light, and that path is borrow less, spend less as we proceed to the next financial year. So that is where we are, and these members have been working even over the weekend just to establish more cuts, by the way. That's our work now. So, Chairman, please help us and take the mic and help us to do that.
From the onset, we are aware, alive, of the happenings in the country. We also understand what Kenyans expect of us. We know, we understand the austerity measures that were given by the executive. But we've always said, your committee is us and PSC is you. So anytime we come here, it is an in-house understanding. Chairman, we are here to unpack the supplementary one, estimates financial year 2024-2025. As by your requested specifics, that is on the overall variation between the approved and the revised budget for the parliamentary service budget, the key programs, projects, and spending items affected by the revised budget, the expected impact of the revised budget on programs and project targets, and another relevant information. Chairman, yes, it is true. But Chairman, even before I invite the Secretary to the Commission to present, we've also done comparisons and contrasted. When you look at other agencies, our equivalent, the JSC, we have seen the percentage that has been affected or affected on them. Chairman, while we are here, you know the functions of Parliament quite different from other MDAs. So even as we invite those austerity measures, even the more proposals by Treasury to cut more, I hope we'll bear in mind as Parliament. We need to understand that our functions are quite different. For example, Chairman, you know, when you talk about domestic travel being cut by 100%, you know what it means. By other important functions like advertisement being cut by 50%, Chairman, you know, that will affect public participation, which is an important component of what we do in this House. So, Chairman, I hope members will understand that we really need to move as Parliament despite all those cuts. Without much ado, let me invite the Secretary to the Commission to do the presentation. I thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman and members of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. We appreciate the opportunity to engage with you in this conversation on the supplementary one budget. So, Mr. Chairman, we have circulated a document that I would like to speak to, and I appreciate that the Chairman has given an anchorage and a background to the conversation that we will be having. So allow me to then speak to the document and to refer you to the various paragraphs of it. So at paragraph 1 and 2, we basically explain the establishment of the commission and its functions. At paragraph 2, the 4 votes that are the Parliamentary Service Commission's budget, and the other accounting officers are here, and when I am done, Mr. Chairman, you will allow that the other accounting officers say something in respect to their respective votes. At paragraph 4, the Chairman has explained what you have asked us to come and do. You have asked us to say the proposed supplementary, what projects and spending items are going to be affected for us, and what that impact will be. So we anchor this conversation first at paragraph 5 by looking at the budget performance in the 2023-2024 budget. because we think that will give you a context of how our spending patterns are and what we can expect by the reduction that is proposed. So out there we have set out the approved budget for the various votes, how much was spent in actual terms, and what that percentage of absorption is. And it's important to note that that's the spending in actual terms. But as we explain at paragraph 6 and 7, that spending in actual terms can be misleading because it doesn't account for all the monies that we did not receive because of exchequer release constraints. It doesn't account for, therefore, the pending bills that we have. The point we are making is if you look at those patterns, you are able to tell that we fully utilize the budget that we have. We have no leg room. We are not able to have any balances. In fact, it shows clearly that we needed all the money that we had in the current budget. In fact, we were short. So any space that appears there in terms of the utilization is explained by the failure to get exchequer releases. In vote 21, amounting to 88.8 million, that's at paragraph 7. In vote 2042, the National Assembly, we are talking about pending bills of 225 million in respect of facilitation for bodyguards and drivers who have not received their facilitation for the last quarter, 90 million for constituency operations, and 85 million for other suppliers. In vote 2043, 542 million in pending bills. In development, we have 964 million that's yet to be paid in certificates. And in the Senate vote, some 250 million was not absorbed because there was a court stay order against the Senate oversight function, and 423 million in pending bills. So just to give that context that we needed and we need all the money that we can get to discharge Parliament's functions. Now, at the bottom of page 3, the approved budget for 2024-2025, you will recall that when we appeared before you, we had sought 65.8 billion according to our work plans. However, what ended up being appropriated was only 44.5 billion, and therefore we had already an underfunding according to our own projections and our own plans. We were going to start off the financial year with a 20.8 billion hole, and we have set out at table 2 on page 4 the deficit we had in respect of our plans as against the amount appropriated. So when we come now to the proposed supplementary estimates at paragraph 9, we look at the various items that the Treasury has targeted and percentage cuts in those various items. And we underline the point that the chairman has made, that it is not possible to do a one-size-fits-all approach to austerity and to budget cuts across MDAs, because MDAs are in different, and the various agencies are in different business. Their core business, what they do is different, and that needs to be taken account of. So we explain why we are different and why those items would cripple us. So if we take communication supplies and services, for example, a 20% cut, we need to understand that this is what is responsible for advertisements, for public participation, a fundamental requirement under Article 118 of the Constitution. We have had a series of court decisions, Mr. Chairman and members, which have faulted our public participation as inadequate, even in terms of the notification by advertisements, in terms of sensitization. The most recent judgment actually says that our advertisements are too small and the print is too small. They actually want us to take a full page or half a page. For it has become that prescriptive. So any cuts of the kind contemplated would mean that we are unable to meet our constitutional obligations. When we come to domestic travel, subsistence, and other transportation costs, this is the business of Parliament, basically. The Parliament travels domestically for inquiries, for stakeholder engagements, for fact-finding missions, for representation. The mileage reimbursement for members for travel to constituencies is under domestic travel and subsistence. And who is to say that we can compromise that aspect of representation? When we come to a 100% reduction in membership fees, dues, and subscriptions, we will make our parliament a pariah parliament that is not up to date with its CPA subscription obligations, IPU, Pan-African Parliament, the ICGLR. So these are subscriptions that we, like all other parliaments, must pay up. So if we were to agree to a 100% reduction, we would exclude ourselves from the international parliamentary fraternity. Draw your attention, Chairman and members, to page 6, top of the page, item number 4 at the top of the page, proposing a 100% reduction in operating expenses. Please note that operating expenses is where constituency and county expenses fall. When we talk about a 100% reduction in refurbishment of buildings, purchase of motor vehicles, other transport equipment, office furniture, general equipment, etc., we think that this is particularly inopportune at this time, coming hot on the heels of the storming of Parliament and the damage that everyone knows took place. So we are in the process of rehabilitating and making good all that happened, and we are not able to do so with a 100% reduction in that allocation. The development budget also will be rationalized by 50%, and that affects ongoing projects, particularly the ongoing development of the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training. So when we come to D at the middle of page 6, the overall variation between the approved budget and the revised budget for the Parliamentary Service budget, the overall variation would come to 8.4% of our budget, broken down as we have indicated in Table 4. For vote 2041, that's we have set out the printed estimates, 1.1. The revised estimates would set us back by 54 million, representing 4.7%. For the National Assembly, we would be set back by 1.8 billion, 6.9%. For the Parliamentary Joint Services, 3.9%, 262 million. For the development, we would take a whooping chop of 1.03 billion, which is 50%. And for the Senate Affairs vote, 544 million, representing 6.8%, and overall 8.4%. Now, you have asked about the expected impact of the revised budget on programs and project targets. So, Chairman, we already spoke to that under the various items which I have just recited. Suffice it to say at paragraph 12 that a 3.7 billion reduction will severely affect service delivery, and it may not be, it's not suitable. And under those respects, first, the entire quantum, and secondly, the areas proposed are not suitable considering the mandate of Parliament. And we have said why. A lot of those items speak to the core of legislative work, committee work, public participation, mileage, etc. Reductions in refurbishment of buildings, we've spoken to that. Also, at paragraph 14, pending bills for development will be affected. But we are alive to the fact that Parliament must be part of the initiative to exercise austerity. So at paragraph 15, we propose that the Parliamentary Service Commission and the various votes wish to comply with the reduction, but we want to do so in a manner that takes account of the specific mandates of Parliament and of the Commission so that there is minimal disruption to core functions. Now, to do so, at paragraph 16, we observe that the BPS had adjusted our baseline by 2.881 billion, and we have set out at table 5 what the areas for adjustment in BPS and the additional funding at BPS had been at 2041. The various items: general funding for PSC, 30 million for selection panel, 70 million for general operation, etc., and so on, the various items for the different votes, all the way to overleaf on page 8. Now we propose at paragraph 17 that because of the austerity measures occasioned by the rejection of the Finance Bill 2024 and the subsequent budgetary rationalization, the Commission will, along with other MDS, have to postpone some of the activities, and therefore we propose to surrender back the following amounts. At vote 2042, 550 million, that was going to adjustments for constituency office operations. The development vote, 500 million for projects. We can ill afford it, but we have to. It will be a better cut than hoping 1 billion. And then 75 million for county office operations for under the Senate affairs. That would give us 1.125 billion already appropriated within the ceiling for 2024-2025. Then when we come to the draft estimates, the Budget and Appropriations Committee had adjusted upwards our ceiling by 975 million. So it is noted at paragraph 19 that the BPS approved ceiling was going to come to was 43.623 billion, which you adjusted to 44.598 billion, representing the 975 million I spoke to. From the foregoing, the Commission is proposing to surrender 875 million, which represents a planned salary adjustment, including constituency and county staffers under the respective votes as we indicate at paragraph 20. So for vote 2042, National Assembly, 310 million. For vote 2044, Senate, 70 million. This is the adjustment for constituency and county offices. Then for PSC staffers in general under the various votes, 495 million, top of page 9, and itemized under the respective votes as shown: 2042, 193, 2043, 190 million, and Senate, 112 million. So a total of 875 million. You note that of those votes, there are 4 votes. 1 vote is proposed for exemption, and we would request that you indulge the Commission not to effect budget cuts for 2041 for the following reasons. This is the vote that was responsible for the selection panel, and you'll recall that the Commission had been asked to utilize its own budget, and then this would be refunded. When it was actually put in the supplementary budget, supplementary 2, the exchequer wasn't issued a deficit of 32 million, which will need to be a fast charge. So that vote begins with that deficit of monies which the Commission had been asked to spend, which were not reimbursed, and which will start off the Commission with that deficit. But secondly, and more important, the IEBC Act came into force last week. Again, the Act has provided that the Commission will fully fund and facilitate the new panel, but the necessary funding for this is not in the budget. So this vote will actually still require additional funding to meet the obligations arising from the selection panel. And we all understand at this time that the matters IEBC selection panel and the selection of a new IEBC are core. Then, so at paragraph 22, we are concluding that in place of the rationalization proposed by the Treasury and the items that they targeted, the Commission is proposing a total reduction of 2 billion, as we have itemized it, and the austerity measures which the Treasury was proposing were going to be very adverse. We are asking the Budget and Appropriations Committee to take account of the need for resources for normalization of legislative business and business continuity, and to take account also of the core business of Parliament as distinguished from other MDS, and to therefore agree to the proposed gross figure of 2 billion and the targeted areas are set out on page 10. So for 2042 National Assembly, 550 for constituency operations, 310 million for constituency office salary adjustment, 193 million for permanent staff salary adjustment, a total of 1.053 billion. For 2043 recurrent, 190 million, which was going to be staff salary adjustment, and for development, 500 million, which was going to development projects. Then for vote 2044 recurrent Senate affairs, the respective items, 75 million, 70 million, and 112 million, representing county operations, county office salaries, and salary adjustment, bringing a total of 2 billion. Mr. Chairman, that's the thrust of the presentation, and as I had requested you, if you would allow the permission of the chair that the two other accounting officers chip in.
Definitely, they can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be very brief. And today, Honorable Chairman, we are coming before you a bit shy. Unlike other days, we come before you and to ask for additional money. But today, we are conscious that there is a national decision that has been made that everybody must cut their flesh. Cut some fat, and in some areas, cut some flesh. Mr. Chairman, we, however, request that instead of cutting the 3.7 billion that was asked for by the National Treasury with respect to Parliament, you consider a number of things. The National Treasury has asked that with respect to Parliament, please cut 3.7 billion things. That one, even with a total budget of 41.3 billion, we were already underfunded. That's the beginning. Then we ask, because we are a responsible institution, because we need also to respond to what we are being asked by Kenyans, we must also cut. Therefore, instead of cutting 3.7 billion, Mr. Chairman, we are requesting that you accommodate, and we all accommodate a cut of 2 billion. Why, Mr. Chairman, remember, our absorption was 92.2%, total absorption for Parliament, if you go to the top of page 3 of the document. Out of these 92.28%, it means totally there is an amount of money which we were not given by Treasury. That is why we could not absorb. For instance, with respect to the National Assembly, both 2042, we crossed the financial year with about 1.7 billion, which was not released by the National Treasury. Treasury is asking for National Assembly, please cut 1.8. But we are reminding them, and we are reminding us, you did not give us 1.7 billion. So instead of cutting 1.8 billion for National Assembly, we are saying, please cut 1 billion only. Because part of the money that you are coming for is carryovers for last financial year. With respect to constituency offices, for instance, there are 42 constituency offices that we did not pay office operations. And I sent the message to all members. That amounts to about 90 million. There is mileage and DSA for members which we did not pay, amounting to about 191 million. The money for your bodyguards and drivers, which was there in the budget, whereas Senate was able to pay part of it, National Assembly we were not able to pay about 70%. actually about 85% were not able to pay by the time we closed the financial year. We have suppliers, including hotels, which we have not paid about 90 million, Mr. Chairman. So because of that, we are saying, let's see, yes, let us take a haircut, cut some flesh, but instead of cutting the neck, you can cut some other areas. You can cut the shoulders, but you can remove some flesh from the shoulders, some flesh from the back, but not the neck or the head, Mr. Chairman. That is what, in a nutshell, we are asking, because we are a responsible institution. We accept the cut, but we would want the cut to be rationalized, so that we reduce constituency officers' monies, for instance. We reduce some areas which were proposed for certain increases. We reduce those ones instead of affecting things like your current mileage. Remember, as my colleague has said, National Treasury, when they see domestic travel, they cut domestic travel at 50%. But remember, your mileage is part of domestic travel. And we have arrears for the last financial year, and we have not started paying this financial year, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I will only add also on the issue of pending bills. Chairman, you remember we came here and we pleaded on the development side, we have a pending bill actual of 964 million. So if you're going to cut the commission, if the Treasury is proposing to cut the commission budget by 1 billion, it will mean that we will not be able to do anything in this financial year, because we are coming into this financial year with a pending bill actual of 964 million. Chairman, there will also be, like it has been indicated, a number of projects that have to be undertaken, even quick ones. For example, we need to put up a media center for the media. We need to refurbish some of the facilities to move staff from the main parliament buildings to this side. So there will be need for additional resources in the lines that we have proposed, and the Commission has made a proposal to reduce, instead of 1 billion from development, to reduce this by 500 million. Thank you, Chairman.
Allow me, Mr. Chairman, just to add this. With respect to the media center, there's information out there that we are chasing away media. It is not true. The Commission has decreed that we need to do a proper media center for our media. The Honourable Member for Lesamis would remember that the current media center is a prefab, which was started sometime in 2009. The media used to operate at a place opposite the Senate chamber around there. It was a tent. And from 2009, it was agreed that let us have a prefab, which will operate for about 4 years, so that we can thereafter construct a proper media center for our media. Therefore, that is a plan that has been there. It's just that it has been found that probably this is the right time to do it. The amount is modest. We are still working through the process. And so that is an accurate position, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you. Chairman, I think that's what we had. What we have brought to you, as I told you, you are us and we are you. So it's upon you members to know how you're going to deal with this, aware and alive of what is happening. Chairman, we are not selfish. You've heard, we're even ready to give in 2 billion, despite what we are going to lose in terms of our coma debt. So, Chairman, that's what we have. Back to you. Maybe before there.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I was just wondering how my chairman, at least my voice will make a difference. Yeah, because we've been listening to men. Yeah, so we are here also. Thank you so much, Chairman. You've had our presentation. And I want to concur with the clerk of National Assembly that even when you go for a cut, we have to cut it proportionally. Otherwise, some other parts of the body will suffer. So we have to be very careful on how we do it, because as they mentioned earlier, our functions are unique. We don't have any other parliament that we can compare to. Our functions are unique, so we have to look at how are we cutting, where are we cutting. So we should not paralyze the functions of the parliament, because this is where it starts from. So we have to be very careful as much as we consider what everybody's doing. The cuts are there, even in our homes, in our families. The cuts are now going to affect each and every person because the country has to move forward, Parliament has to move forward, and we have to do it proportionally. Thank you, Chairman.
Madama?
Chairman, the finance bill came to be in place and the debate started. As a concerned person, concerned with the lives of Kenyans, I looked at certain areas actually, which if they are considered seriously, we will be able to move this country forward. Chairman, one reduction that should not take place is CDF money. Today, and this is through experience, is any project that can make Kenyans quiet is initiated through CDF. So any reduction on that, we are giving a pitch outside there that the government is not performing. And on top of that, those projects actually land on Kenyans and the Kenyans who need to be served by the government. The other area, Chairman, I thought should not have reduction is Minister of Education or the education sector. Chairman, that area, any reduction that is taking place there is pushing this country backwards. The more educated we have, Chairman, in this country, the more chances of solving problems. Chairman, the other area I thought of was health sector. Surely, it's not the talk we talk there, give Kenyans food, give Kenyans food. Chairman, give Kenyans good health. They will produce food for themselves. So health ministry should not be touched. The other area, Chairman, is judicial system. We have cases with Kenyans that has gone as far as 20 plus years. They cannot be dealt with because we do not have enough judges, Chairman. So any reduction on that, actually, again, you are weakening the service to Kenyans that they deserve, they require more than anything else. PSC, Chairman, this money goes around you people. This is where you at least you do away with the shame of non-performance. Because if your drivers are not paid allowances, Chairman, so what kind of an MP you are and how are you serving your people? Chairman, we came 2 years ago here. We have finished Bunge Towers. It has been there. Here, we had to plead with the contractor to finish the work and be paid later on. The money is not there now to pay those contractors. And now it is being suggested you reduce what already has been there. And it was not to clear the outstanding. It was just to surface the pending certificates. And Chairman, the law is very clear. If you are served with the certificate of payment and you don't pay, you know what happens. If it is 1 million shillings, you will end up paying 1.5. The other area, and the last one, Chairman, is security. Security, Chairman. We do not have enough police officers, and that is why we are overwhelmed in any kind of a situation that takes place that requires security. So that area, Chairman, should not be touched. We can do away, we can wait even to dig dams. Chairman took from 1963 up to today. We are talking about building dams. We are talking about bringing water to the people. Where has it worked? It's only your money that you are getting now as members of parliament that can be seen to be working on small dams. But where is the grand national government dams that has taken place since 1963? Or tapped water that has been given to the people? Chairman, there are areas we need to do away a little bit. Tarmacking of roads, Chairman, in exchange with what I mentioned here, is not a priority. Wewe niambie huko Kiaru, ni siku gani ulisikia mtu akisema I could not go that side because there was no road? There is not one case that you can show. So I'm saying with what has been presented here, Chairman, and revisiting this, go and sit down and look at these areas. Work on this. Even the boss tell him these are the areas where Kenyans are opening their eyes to see how services are being delivered to Kenyans. I rest my case, Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. The Honorable Commissioner was wanting to introduce himself.
Thank you. My name is John Kenyo, Senator of Laikipia and Commissioner. Chairman, I want to associate myself with this document, and I want to persuade this Honorable Commission to cede to our request, Chairman, because if you cede to our request, Chairman will be ceding to the request of Kenyans, because we represent people of Kenya as a Parliamentary Service Commission, meaning by extension, the Parliament. This is not only our document, but your document, Chair. So please, I would request, when you are considering it, you give it a more thought comparing to when you are looking at the other sectors, Chairman. I rest my case. But Chairman, because I believe that when you listen, you learn. When you speak what you know. I would prefer to listen. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. Chair from somewhere, and he has just told me to inform CNN Joroge that grafting meat is not cut from the back, but it's cut from the buttocks. So it's upon you to know where our buttocks are. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I almost first to listen, then he's throwing the mic to me. You are trying to say what, Honorable Kenya? Thank you very much, Senator, for Laikipia and all the other commissioners and all the representatives of the Parliamentary Service Commission. And I want to agree with the chairman of our party, the former chairman of our party. You have talked like a representative of this committee. And that is the kind of openness that we know the Parliamentary Service Commission has. So we want to laud the Parliamentary Service Commission for seeing things beyond the money they manage, but seeing the entirety of our economy. That yes, everything needs to be funded, but everything has to be faced as a matter of time. And facing does not mean those things that are being faced for a later date are not important. It's only that some are more urgent now. And I want to really thank you, Parliamentary Service Commission, for being very open-minded. And what you are doing is what every other MDA does. They want more money. And therefore, you are just doing what you need to do. But fortunately also, you've been kind enough even to volunteer cuts. Unfortunately though, on that, the baseline you are considering as the budget committee is the revised budget. So when you say you are volunteering a cut that's already cut, you are literally telling us to increase more money. And there is no money to increase. So I hope by the end of this meeting, we'll get areas that the Parliamentary Service Commission will point to us that we have some excesses here, please cut. Why? Money for electricity is zero, for example. And I agree with Senator Modama. We can do away with some of the infrastructural projects and go to the ones that touch households themselves. Like the things he has said, maybe in the development sphere, that would be electricity. So I wish, because we have some time, that we'll deliberate together and voluntarily. Parliamentary Service Commission is representing me. Me as Dede Nyoro, I'm willing to volunteer my travel budget to go to electricity, for example. I'm willing. Many members of parliament are willing to volunteer that instead of going for domestic travel, they are willing to meet in mini chambers where we are not paying anything. So some of the areas that we really have to think about, we are now in mini chambers, but ordinarily we will be somewhere in a hotel. So we have saved money. please, let us voluntarily decide to cut this money. This money is better off confirming a few more JSS teachers, confirming a few more UHC staff, confirming more professionals in our health sector, than for us to go to a hotel. And we've already showing by being here. Secondly, I would want the Commission to let us know the cost of repair of Parliament out of the damage that was caused. Third, as we are all aware, next financial year, any government office that will be refurbished will be contrary to what we have agreed as Kenyans to do. We have agreed all government offices, no one will be incapacitated by not refurbishing this financial year. So no more refurbishment, no more purchases of this building and the other one. And I would really request the Parliamentary Service Commission, there should be no more purchase of any building or refurbishment, because that is what the entire government is doing. The other thing, lastly, I really again want to request. We have Bunge Towers, we have CPST. CPST can wait for even 2 years. We have been functioning as Parliament without CPST. So these are extraordinary times. Please let us put it in abeyance. Let us pay the pending bills for the Bunge Tower. Let us see other areas that we can cut. And I really want to request also, as we have done to other MDAs, cutting does not mean we reallocate. You know, many times we think cut here and then you add me here. Cutting will literally mean, by the end of this meeting, the revised estimates for PSC that will really help us identify $1 billion or $2 billion that we can cut further, so that we at least put some money in electricity, we put some more money to other areas that the Senator Modama has enumerated. And we are doing it in good faith, as you know. That is why we are voluntarily saying, where it touches us as members, we are willing to sit. We are willing to sit travel, we are willing to sit going to hotels, so that we can save some money to do much more pressing expenditures. So let me go now to Honorable Ladies First members, Honorable Kawajiko. Honorable Kawajiko, we had decided you are not moving. You then went and sat next to Honorable Naisura. The chairman has given you permission. Don't even have a seat in between. Please move to the other seat. Honorable Naisura.
Thank you, Chair. And Honorable Kawanjiko said the AC on the other side was a lot. So thank you so much, PSC, for your presentation. And from the onset, I want to thank you very much for the work that you have done for the last year. And even when you've come before us, we've had many conversations, especially about Bunge Towers. And finally, we are in Bunge Towers. In terms of ensuring Parliament Square is done, it's neater, it's efficient for us, thank you very much. You have been efficient and staying true to your word when you come before us. Having said that, I must agree with you and also the chair in terms of saying we are living in extraordinary times and we must live true to it as a Parliament and even as PSC. I want to agree with Chair that there are some things we can forego. If it is for a year or 2, we suspend so that we can recover it in other areas that touch directly on Mwananchi. I just wanted to ask on the issue of what has been asked about Parliament, after what happened in Bunge, I'm sure we have to do some repairs. I wanted to ask whether we have some insurance, whether as Parliament we had insured some of the things so that insurance will take care of it. Number 2, some things can wait. Any building, it's not a necessity. We can stay where we are. I'm sure even those who we want to make them a good place to stay, I think anything that requires building, those things can wait, I think. Then I come to a fundamental issue that I wanted to discuss here a bit and to ask. And because my good friend and neighbor, Senator, is here. You remember the last time I asked the issue of Senate versus National Assembly. And I asked specifically about a case in court about CDF, NGCDF, and where the Senate is enjoined. And I remember the clerk of the Senate clearly saying that that is something of the past, I don't know what, there was an excuse for it, and he also said he cannot talk about it because it is in the purview of members, Senate. But truth of the matter, listening to the conversations that were going on in the Senate, we can now see why you were in court. You brought it out in the open. I just wanted to put it clear to Kenyans and to the Senate that NGCDF is not a property of members of Parliament of the National Assembly. We're only for patrons and we're only foreseers of the implementation of that fund. There is no place as Naisula, as member of Samburu West, where I interact directly with that fund. I do not sign anywhere. I do not get any funds from NGCDF. I just, as the member of Parliament with my committee, and there is also a board in Nairobi, look at the priority areas for my people of Samburu West and decide with them, the board, what stays, because we do public participation. And so trying to create a perception to Kenyans that NGCDF is money of members of Parliament of the National Assembly is misleading and it is wrong. And I don't want to debate here or to make this a discussion of NGCDF, but it is important as both houses we relook that matter. And I can even ask also senators, what does your oversight money do? It looks like it's money where you just go call for your barazas. If anything, you're the ones who use it for political expediency, because we can't see what your oversight money does. But CDF, if you go to my schools, you will account for each and every coin of NGCDF. You will see a classroom, you will see a laboratory, you will see teachers' quarters, you will find beds, you'll find desks, you'll find mattresses, you'll find police station, you will find in Gulf, you will find their markets, you will see. And if you go to schools, you'll find bursary receipts. I want to know what your oversight money does as Senate. So finally, because I have finished that, I just want to agree and to say on matters travel, I'm also ready to forego my travel if it's going to save us any money. And as personally, as Naisula, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me go to on.
Well done, and even to volunteer to cut 2 billion shillings. But I think from where we sit, we still feel that tough times call for tough measures. And because part of what we have been doing, especially as Parliament, is that we have been, doing these meetings and other meetings in hotels. And since the budget is the one that is appropriating money for those hotels, and we decided to cut and decided to come to the county hall, I also feel that the domestic has been cut by 50%. I think we should go further and make sure that we cut to about 70-80%. Let us make use of Bunge Towers. Let us make use of County Hall. Let us make use of the premises that we have bought with taxpayers' money to make sure that we reduce. And we work as per the times that we are with, because now it calls for those tough measures. Number two, also, Chair, I've seen other government departments, they have cut costs on foreign travels. I have not seen a single reduction in terms of the foreign travels as far as the National Assembly and the Senate and the PSC is concerned. Can we cut further the foreign travel? We also calling for tough times, and we also deciding, and also, as we agree with you, Chair, as we support you, we are willing to forego our travel. Let us stay in Kenya, all of us, and make sure that we prudently use of the resources that we have as a country, because it is tough time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. And Honorable Naisura, by the way, a member of Parliament is neither a patron of CDF. Your only role is oversight. That's the same way you oversight the Department for Agriculture. That's the same way you oversight Sports Department. That's the only role you have in CDF. Let me go to Honorable Moshera.
Asante sana, Chairman. I just have two brief ones because we are suggesting areas where we can do some cuts further. On this Senate Oversight Fund, Chairman, when we created this fund, we said that we were the fund, after the fund, of course, there are supposed to be regulations. The regulations were not done, yet this fund was administered by the accounting officer. So that's one area that we need to look at, because we cannot have a fund without regulations. Number two, I noticed that there is a case in court in relation to this fund. And of course, even if the stay orders are lifted, this committee, and I'm now speaking as a departmental committee that oversights PSC, we cannot allow administration of this fund without regulations as a departmental committee. And number two, still on this fund, because we need to understand, and I'm happy my neighbor is here, Senator for Laikipia. You see, our three roles, representation, registration, and oversight. You represent a specific county, that is Laikipia County. But when it comes to registration, you cannot come to the Senate and purport that you are registering for a specific county. You register for all counties. Same case with oversight. When you come to the Senate, you don't come to oversight Laikipia only. You oversight all the counties in general. So you cannot purport to divide roles like Laikipia Senator go and oversight Laikipia, Senator for Lamu go and oversight for Lamu. When you are in the Senate, you oversight the entire devolution. And number two, we normally allocate money for committees. And the purpose of that money that we allocate to committees is to oversight. Meaning, if we again allocate money to the Senate Oversight Fund to again oversight, we are doing duplication. And finally, on this oversight, we need to define what is oversight. Because you cannot oversight, if like we oversight this committee, oversight should not be misconstrued to overreaching. You know, the kind of oversight you are talking about is you want, like if there is a road being done somewhere, you want to literally go and see whether a road is being done, fuel, CD for going to do what. Oversight, we have to allow, because we have county assemblies. Let them oversight governors. Let us trust Auditor General to do the report. Let the report come to Senate. Then CPAC can do all those roles. So this oversight fund, Mr. Chairman, what I'm saying, it's an area that we should cut. That's an area we have, I think it's 500 M, so we already have 2.5 now. I want to go to another area that we can cut those small amount. So I've said oversight fund. Personally, as a member of this committee, I'll not be willing to, if this committee decides to pass it, I'll be doing a dissenting opinion as far as this report is concerned. Number two, so we have 500, Mr. Chairman. The other one is just small cuts, small amount. I realized we have a HIV and AIDS control unit. That's what I saw in some document, not this one, that in Parliament we have a HIV and control unit. I don't know what it does, and it's allocated some money. What does it do, this HIV and control unit? And finally, this fund for, I don't know which vote it is, the one that GKs use to pay for expressway and fuel, because I saw it in the Senate. One of the users was saying, and he was willing, he was saying actually it's overfunded. and he was saying he doesn't need that money. That vote, I would be willing to know which vote it is whether it is in PSC or where, because I'm happy because the user is saying the money is more than enough. You are giving them more than enough. Let's mulika that area. That's where we need to cut. So I've given you 3 areas. Mr. Chairman, already 800 million. So we look for the other 200 million.
Thank you very much. Let me go to Honorable Major Donk. Major Donk is from Nairobi. You people, you have to listen to Nairobi first.
Thank you, Chair. And I would like to associate myself with what Honorable Mushira, MP for Oljorokas, has alluded to, because the Honorable Senator, who is a leader in Senate, was all over the media complaining about having too much money in their card. And we are here complaining that we don't have money. So I believe that that money should all be removed. Chair, there is this oversight money that we are talking about in Senate. The senators have their county offices fully paid and staffs employed by the PSC. They also get mileage to go to their counties or wherever they are going. There is also domestic allowance when they are going maybe to other counties. So this oversight money, I really don't understand why the Senate should have it. And I propose during this hard time, let's first of all do away with it, and maybe we recover some money and redirect the money. We redirect the money, the way we are saying, to people's projects that maybe will be of help to us. Our crack has just said that some members from the Senate, their bodyguards and drivers have already been paid. Actually, maybe allowed 50%. And in the NA, we don't have funds to pay our drivers and to give them the drivers and the bodyguards their money. This also tells you, Mr. Chairman, that in Senate, we have too much money. We have too much money that maybe needs to be reallocated and taken to those people-related projects. They have also talked about something that I find interesting. That it's good that we reduce money, or we don't. Our staff money should not be increased, so that we can retain mileage. When you are giving our staff maybe their money and maybe constituencies money, every member benefits. Because it doesn't matter whether you're in Lamu, in Nairobi, or in where, or in which county. But when you say that you will not do this so that we can maybe protect the mileage of some members, I believe this is very wrong, and we should cut and reallocate mileage money. Because everybody, or every member, when you are vying to be a member of the National Assembly or a member of the Senate, you knew very well where the Senate is. You knew very well where the National Assembly is. So, you would have vied as a county member to be near where maybe you can be able to pay for your transport. About the reduction on domestic travel, Mr. Chair, we would have gone to a hotel, and we usually go to a hotel as a committee. And I have seen this time, we have used all our time sleeping in our homes and coming to the Bunge Towers and this mini chamber for our committee meeting. So this domestic travel, I support Honorable Kawajiku that it should actually not be that 70% that he's proposing. We should be going up to maybe near 90%. The way, Mr. Chair, you are talking about electricity, I can tell you, I have seen very many constituencies or constituents striking because of problem of Kenya Power. They don't have electricity, they don't have what. But when you go to do the follow-up from the ministry, they claim they do not have the transformers. Let's get this money. And being a member, the way you have said that I represent Nairobi, yes, I represent Nairobi, where every service should be fully up to the standard. I can tell you sometimes I don't go to Kayole because stima zimepotea, transformer hakuna, hata maybe sometimes some rural people are enjoying very much the electricity services more than the Kayole people. So I support Chair.
I agree with you, Honorable Major. Kenya Power is doing a good job. Let me go to Honorable Ruth Odinga.
Thank you very much. I want to say something very fundamental. I don't think we should be here to have some self-grandeur of trying to say so that we can be seen to be saying that we must cut our own personal travel and all that. That's not what we are talking about when we are saying we are going to cut and to be under austerity. It's more than that. Your salary, your domestic travel and mine will not bring such a big change as you think. I think it's the best because it may be only me and you who will give out and not the whole of everybody else. Secondly, to my good friend, Major Donk, Nairobi is where you come from. Others come from very far, Turkana and all that. So when you're also talking, don't come and tell us how you want us to cut domestic travel, where our mileage is cut, and some of us don't come from near here. Now, having said that, PSC, there's some money, like, for example, the ones of the furniture, purchase of furniture. I sit in the Service and Welfare Committee. We've been going around to most of these MPs' offices. And a lot of times, I don't know whether PSC, you check on the money you give out for furniture and look at what they've bought, because I don't think many of them use that money to buy the things that they're supposed to buy. So I believe in that one being cut for 100%. Those are the kind of things I want us to talk about, not personal little things where we say we fool Kenyans that today we are going to leave this and that of ours and because whatever we have, I don't think it is more. It is actually what is necessary. And for me, I'm going to support. Yes, we can cut, but don't also cut us. We are people who are leaders who make things work in this country. Therefore, don't cripple us by saying we cut everything as if it's only parliament. Have you seen outside there? You saw what the CSS, are you putting something for those CSS? And then Senate, I know they went overboard because they also wanted to show the world that it is parliament, that is a National Assembly that was bad. But then I'm also saying, you're not saying that you're not, sorry you are here as the senator, but doesn't mean it is personal to you. But I think that they should also be fair and not, we shouldn't kill each other, Senate and National Assembly. We are one and the same, we are all leaders, and we all come from the same places. What you people did to us was really underhanded. We were nearly being killed in our areas. But that is the truth about the Senate. But for me, I'll say, let's do cuts, and let's look for areas we can cut on. But let's not also cripple PSC. Asante sana.
Honorable Christopher Aseka.
As much as you're cutting foreign travels, please, clerk, remember me. I I still want to travel outside this country to different jurisdictions to compare and see what I can do better. So as my colleagues are advocating for those cuts under the foreign travels, me, please, don't. But I have a constitutional question, Chair. Schedule 4 of the Constitution provides for functions of county governments, under which the Senate is put in place to oversight. There are committees in Senate that are oversighting functions of the national government. I don't know why we should have a committee on internal security, foreign affairs, a committee maybe on infrastructure and transport, a function that is purely a national government function. I think those committees should be disbanded, and that account should be rationalized, and those funds be redirected to areas. Thank you.
Honorable Vice Chair.
But let the cuts be on non-essential areas. If we delay purchase of a building or a new construction, starting a new construction, we're good to go. If we decide to hold our meetings within the precincts of parliaments and in the committee rooms, no function of parliament will be affected negatively. But when we begin to recommend cuts on essential services and functions, then I think that will not be good, and it will affect all of us at the end of the day. So I think let's be guided by the principle that we recommend cuts on non-essential services. But on any service that is essential, I think we may have to relook at what percent are we cutting. But I agree with the members, I agree with the chair that this is unprecedented. And it must affect everyone, and let the reductions also be cut equitably across all vote heads, so that it's not seen to be on constituency offices and county offices, but let it be on all other votes, the commission votes, National Assembly votes, administration votes. Let it be spread across. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shinari.
Chair, Kenya's expenditure, operations expenditure is well beyond 2.8 trillion, which is a lot of money. And which means that development funding is really minimal. What the Kenyans are really requiring is that how much can Kenya do in order to increase its development expenditure, given that right now it is very small. I want to support my colleagues here that Parliament must show the way in really removing duplication of roles, like it has been said. Why should the Senate oversee the committees that are being run by the government? They should be disbanded and, in fact, surcharged for introducing those committees at that level. And so we must. And there are necessary also expenditures like travels in Bunge, people just connecting airlines one after another, traveling outside. We must also look at those so that we can be able to show the way. Parliament must lead the way in this. If we lead the way, then we are going to be respected, because everybody is looking at Parliament. You remember after 25th of June, all the eyes were focused on Parliament. Up to now, what is Parliament doing in order to lead the way in terms of removing unnecessary expenditures? And that is the question that Kenyans are asking.
Thank you very much. Let me go to scenario was already there.
Chair, it seems disadvantageous to sit next here. Maybe the eyes are looking far away. Chair, I want to take the commission to the last page. On the last page, you have summarized clearly where you've given out cuts. Members of Parliament had voiced, and they said they did not want the increment which was coming.
I really feel it should have come out clear, because when we start reporting, this will be what would be shown. Where members of parliament have declined the increase will not be able to be highlighted even today, or it might be out there already. That's an area I want us to be clear. Is the increment still standing? Yet we declined it. Number two, you've talked of cuts. Specifically, if we go to CBST, the one being built in Karen, you are showing the cuts, but also show us how it's going to affect in terms of the delay when you go to contractual obligations that are there. How is it going to cost us when we suspend it? Because those costs must be there. Commissioner Mudama has implicated to it, but it has to come out clear in figures so that we are aware that if we suspend this in terms of interest and other legal implications, contractual obligations, this is the amount which is going to accrue. So that when we are discussing as members, it's clear to us. Lastly, I also want to weigh in on what members have said here in terms of the Senate oversight. Members, we have county assemblies which are on the ground and they are doing oversight. They're oversighting the executive of the county, the governor, and so on. Where is this now, Senate oversight, coming in? Can we separate the two so that we are clear? If it is necessary, let us know, and let us know the duties, the exact duties, specific duties that the Senate are oversighting in the counties. Because to me, it's duplication. One must go. It's either the oversight of the county assemblies or the oversight of Senate, because it's duplicating the same job. Thank you, Chair.
Chair.
Honorable Mashako.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. PSC for a well-done job. My colleagues have alluded to that. Parliament Square has started to look very good, which is a very good thing. But Chair, mine is, I don't want to speak much because much has been said by my colleagues, but to support that we must continue to cut further. I want to agree with the colleagues that have said we must stop buying of new buildings, CS, parliamentary institute that we're building. We need to stop that. Anything that is not going to impact on the immediate objectives of the country to undertake the austerity measures needs to be removed. Chair, I also want to ask that vote 2041, you have recommended all other votes to be, in your 2 billion that you're saying you've agreed to cut, you've not mentioned any cut under vote 2041. I would truly want to see that you, commissioners and the secretariat, lead by example. I think that is somewhere that before you end this meeting, you must seed some money out of the Parliamentary Service Commissioners' vote. Because we know, as we've been indicating, that you want to cut travel by 50%. Some colleagues are saying you can cut more. Please tell us how much we can cut from your vote, particularly the foreign travel. Then lastly, Chair, listening to Commissioner Mudama, I think he started very well when he alluded to the fact that CDF is doing so well in this country. Being a commissioner, I would truly wish that the commission to take this up. Because senators seem not to understand, not to see what Commissioner Muthama is saying. And therefore, now that Senator Kinyua is here, maybe you can recommend as PSC to have Commissioner Muthama take senators through what CDF is doing. And possibly, I know he can do it without expecting to be paid. So that then Senate can understand that CDF is an integral fund to see that every corner, every part of this country moves to the next level. And truly, let's face it, when senators stood in the floor and indicated that the big vehicles we see in the National Assembly is a result of having CDF. I would expect even commissioners and PSC to call that member to order. You know, we have a committee in Parliament, National Assembly, Parliamentary Powers and Privilege Committee, that calls members to order. I think, Senate, you must exercise such kind of powers so that a member who is totally out of order needs to be called as such. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Member for Nyeri.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to support my colleagues, but Chair, I would like to support our crack. In a serious note, National Assembly, we are given a low deal. Like now, Chairman, I would really like to understand why do we always duplicate the oversight? Because we have our committees, we'll call our ministers to our committees. The following day, the same minister will be summoned in Senate. Are they supposed to oversight the ministers or governors? When did they do that last? So there's a lot of duplication. And Chair, let me tell you, one member, one senator, has about shares about 3 committees. And like us here, like me here, I have only this committee. And those people, they're always in Mombasa. Here in Budget Committee, we are always here. We don't travel. So what I'm trying to say is the National Assembly, we are given a road deal. And now, this is the time now we should handle this. And I really thank God that this has happened. About the traveling, those people, they're always out, Chair. They always travel. Like now, majority of them are out there trying to observe the elections outside there because they have money. Us, we are just here. Another thing I have a concern with the Bunge Towers. Whoever supplied those furnishers, they did a shoddy job. And I would like the auditors to go and check on those furnishers. That was a low deal also. So, Chair, I support our crack because he really tries. Yeah. And I'm telling you, as we are not traveling, we are always here. Chair, we've been fighting with you, telling you that we can't even go to Mombasa. Yet, Senate, they are traveling all over. And they are the ones who are now bashing the members of Parliament.
Honorable Atandi.
Chair, thank you very much. Chair, I just have a few comments. The first comment I would like to say is, Chair, the direction we are going is not helpful. As Parliament, we are one. And if we are going to bash Senate, and in fact, this Senate Oversight Fund is not a lot of money, it's very little money. Let us, I think, stop this idea of just bashing the Senate for something which will not make sense. Also, I want to say that Senate consists of politicians, and the Senate chamber is a forum for politics. It is the senators who are doing politics against us. Let us also go and do politics. Otherwise, we are not going to charge somebody. It's like telling somebody that you said something in a funeral and you should have not said it. Yet, you know, funeral is a forum for us to do politics. Senators were doing politics against us, and it is upon members of Parliament to also go and do the same politics. Otherwise, we cannot use that politics. Let's do it, but not when it comes to resources. Let's not deny the resources for doing politics. It's like saying, because I'm opposition, I criticize the government, now I should not get a salary. That's what we are trying to say here. So I think let us be serious. We have our own plenary in the chambers. Let us use it to fight the Senate, but let's not use it for budget, because this is the role of budget making is our own role. Senators are not doing budget making. So if we are going to use our what we are given by the law to fight another institution, then we are not doing the right thing, honestly. The other thing I wanted to say, Mr. Speaker, is that, Mr. Chairman, is that when the Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations appeared before us, they said that they have cut their foreign travel budgets to the extent that there is no money left even for the president to travel. I think that's a message that we should also adopt here. If that Foreign Affairs has no budget for foreign travel, I think also as Parliament we should have zero budget for foreign travels. And that is my submission, so that we use that money for domestic travel. I am of the view that we should not cut money for domestic travel. And if you read the explanation which has been given here by the Commission, domestic travel means that we as elected members of Parliament, we have to go and talk to our voters wherever they are. And we cannot stop ourselves from doing that. We are going to make laws where we have not consulted, where we have not done public participation. And then what are we saying? We are saying that, we are even saying that let us, those youths come back again and ban us inside Parliament, because we are not consulting them. So if we are going to reduce or cut budgets for going to see our voters who sent us here, then we are not doing the right thing. I think we should actually, this domestic travel should be 100%, so that we are able to do our work. Again, on the question that senators should not be given money for oversight. Okay. On the question that senators should not, that there's duplication when senators are doing oversight. Again, I disagree. Because as you know, these senators are elected by people. If you come to Siaya, I'm just a member of Parliament for Lego Songa. Siaya County has 6 constituencies. They all elected the senator. So the senator needs to go around everywhere. So that's why they need to be facilitated, even as the county assembly does oversight on their behalf. They also need to travel. I want to support that. Lastly, this issue that the Senate is also doing functions that are, they have committees that are also engaging on things that we do as National Assembly. Again, I think there's a gap. Senators are just taking advantage of this gap, because you know very well that National Assembly is a weak house. We are weak. We are even not doing proper oversight. We are not even questioning the executive the way it should do. In fact, when you see senators overlapping and doing some of the jobs we are doing, it is us to blame. So I think we need to up our game as National Assembly. Then senators will stop calling. Sometimes, by the way, something big happens in the country, and we have not summoned any minister. But senators rush to summon a minister so that they engage the minister. You cannot blame them for overstepping their mandate when the people who are supposed to do that, which is us. We haven't done that. So, Chairman, my final submission as I conclude is that I want to support what the Vice Chair said. Let us cut on functions that are not essential. Things like facilitating our drivers and bodyguards, those are essential functions, which again we can't cut. But let us observe that whatever is not essential, it can go. But if we do blanket cutting of budget, then it's going to affect the performance of the House, and the Parliament will still be regarded as a House which is not performing. Thank you.
Members, looking at the time now, we need to just be very, very brief. But before that, the members who joined us after we had done the introduction.
Bernard Masaka Shenali, MP for Ikolomani, member.
Millie Odhiambo Mabona, Member of Parliament, Suba North. Do I take my apologies have come late, so maybe I missed something Honorable Atandi is saying. And normally, because I'm very busy, so maybe there are things that happen in Parliament that I'm not aware of. Could he please clarify which is this money that is given to MPs to go to their constituencies? I am aware of oversight money given to Senate. Maybe there's some money people are given and I'm not given. I should claim.
It was travel mileage.
He's talking about domestic travel.
So domestic travel is which one, mileage or what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and the senators don't have mileage, I presume. Senators, maybe PSC can clarify, senators have no mileage. Or they have mileage. So I'm presuming if you are talking as vis-a-vis senators, so you are saying they have mileage, we have mileage. But we have another domestic travel which they don't have. I mean, please, I have nothing against senators, and I think it's in their right to speak and demand for CDF to be removed and all that, which is all very good. I'm sure a lot of it has to come to the floor of the House, so it's okay. But what I'm saying is, let's not shoot ourselves on the foot by giving wrong information to the public. The public will probably think that the National Assembly has some money for domestic travel other than the mileage, which we are not aware of, which Senate doesn't have. Yeah, so let's be clear about that. Otherwise, I think the senator in their right, they can talk, we will talk, but this is not the forum.
Honorable Makari.
Chairman.
Oh, introduction.
Thank you, Chairman. John Paul Murigi is my name, MP Gembe South Constituency. But I would like to have a clarification from the PSC. I heard one of the senators claim that his count has 350,000 for ETC. I would like to know how that funds are appropriated, because they want to mislead the Kenyans that the money which we get here is a lot of money. Secondly, the Senate or the PSC should convince us why should we give the Senate Oversight Fund, because until they convince me, I will not participate in maybe making any attempt to give that oversight funds, because I have understood that even last Parliament, the Senate was operating. How are they operating? And why now the oversight funds? So they must convince us. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Makari.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I must thank the PSC for this presentation, because this presentation has triggered internal reflection from the members of Budget Committee. And I've seen the kind of spirit I've been pushing for since Wednesday. Unfortunately, I'm only seeing this spirit when we are discussing the PSC budget. I just want to remind the honorable members, the PSC budget out of the total budget is 1.0-something%. The judiciary is slightly less than 1%. So, honorable members, these good things you are proposing to be done to the PSC budget, if you only do them to the PSC, you are not helping this country. To help this country, we need to have a cross-cutting approach to all the budgets, including executive, which has actually the lion's share of the budget. Yeah. I like the thinking about, can we reduce our foreign travel to the bare minimum? Can we apply that to all the departments? I like the proposal that can we be meeting in conference facilities where we are and not in hotels? Can we apply that to all the departments, including the executive? We are saying that no more procurement of buildings and rehabilitation. I've said many times, if we are just to suspend that particular item for 1 year, and this year is quite unique, this government will be able to save resources which can make us not borrow an additional pen. So in that case, what I'm saying is, honorable members, when we start doing our report, I would want to see the kind of things we are saying now being applied across the board. It will help this country. The other thing which is critical, Honorable Chair, and I think it's important I mention it, as a result of what has happened, this country is expected to borrow additional 1.1 billion out of what we had borrowed, 141 billion additional. If you look at that proposal, the borrowing is going to be from domestic market, not external markets. Borrowing from domestic market means you start competing with the private sector. And the issue of crowding out the private sector comes in. I like what Chikati has said. If we don't facilitate the movers and shakers of our economy, we will not be helping this economy. So even as we think about this budget, I think, Chairman, what we need to do is, can we for this year say, anything that is essential, which can be pushed forward for 1 year, we suspend it. And then all the resources we are going to have, apply them to areas which will make this economy move. Those are the areas which will push the income of the common mwananchi out there up, so that we can trigger demand, and by triggering demand in this economy, we will grow the economy. In that case, next year, we can sit here and go back to what we are discussing in terms of budgets. Nobody will be complaining, because we'll have enough resources to finance our
issues. But if we just apply this to Parliament alone, I can tell you for sure, even if you took 100% of Parliament, it's only 44 billion. Now it's about 42. So let's agree we apply this across the board and focus on key priorities and more so areas which will push this economy to the next level in terms of growth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Members say, Chair, may I also appreciate the PSC for the good presentation. Chair, members have spoken. And I also want to appreciate the PSC for the good job they are doing. Chair, today we are appreciating the Bunge Towers. But before, I know even the members, our colleagues and outsiders, they were complaining about the funds. Chairman, I'm very sure during the protest, the tunnel saved members of parliament here. Many people were running through that tunnel, including our chairman. I saw you removing even the coat. So today we are appreciating these Bunge Towers, and because the PSC want to pay the contractor, let us consider what they can get. Chairman, today, if we continue doing for the same for this CPST, as we are saying today, we don't want to be going to hotels. One time when I asked what is the purpose of this CPST, Macau explained to me. And today, if we can do all our meetings here in Bunge Towers, we don't want to cripple this project which already we started and money was put there. We can consider and give them something so that we don't kill it at all. Tomorrow, or when it is completed, maybe now we'll be going there instead of going to hotels, and we'll be saving. Thank you, Chair. Honorable David.
Thank you, the PSC. Chair, I've got 2 comments. One, I don't believe that Parliament should take any single budget cut. In fact, it should increase their budget. I was hoping that there will be more money for PSCs, both at the National Assembly and at the Senate. Because we've been, in my opinion, rightly indicted that we're not doing our oversight properly. If we just had money for the committees concerned, and we stopped being corrupt, Chair will have the money we need. And when I say corrupt, I mean all of us, because we've had issues about corruption in Parliament, not just at the executive level, but even at the level of chairpersons, and not just National Assembly, but even Senate. If you're going to help this country, Chair, this is a time for me that we should be able to reflect and say, where have we as Parliament gone wrong? Where do we need to put our resources to make these things work? I believe if Parliament was tooled in a proper way, and we as MPs stopped looking for money, small monies around, and just did our job, we will get money for this country. Parliament will probably even have a double budget so that they can do their job. Number 2, Chair, the Senate did form itself. National Assembly did form itself. We have better live with the fact that these are bodies of the Constitution. They can't operate without funding. This idea that every year we bash Senate in this budget committee, say they don't need this, they need that. Are we even better? Are we doing a better job with money that we have as National Assembly? I think it's better that we are able to put country first. And I disagree with the executive's view that because we removed the finance bill, there's no money. But that is gaslighting, in my opinion. In fact, it's guilt-tripping those who voted no. This country has enough money. We can fund our budgets the way we want if we just reduce corruption. Thank you.
Honorable.
Around Nairobi, let us not take it from those who already have. This year, we sort out the issue of our colleagues who come around Nairobi. We don't want any other excuse as PSC why our colleagues from around, I don't know, you call them what, 0? You call them? 0 to 350. Because now that facilitates people to work, to do their work. So don't take it away from those who have. Just ensure those that don't have, that issue is resolved once and for all.
that matter. And the way to create solidarity is what he was proposing, maybe. Now, members, let's now go to the PSC to respond to our issues.
Chairman, we respect each member's opinion. They are entitled to it, and we are here to listen. Chairman, how much, as PSC, we wish to convince you in future that the Parliament budget be anchored in the Constitution, so that at least we will be stable in our operations. But however, without much ado, I'll invite I'll invite the Secretary to try answer those questions. We have all the accounting officers here, so Chairman will try as much as possible to respond. Then we will do final remark from the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. To answer very briefly, and my colleagues will speak to some of the issues that are raised. From the onset, I want to associate myself with the remarks of some of the members, principally the Honorable Atandi and a number of other members. I think I would like to urge that it would be useful to take a all of Parliament approach rather than a Senate versus the National Assembly approach on matters of budget of Parliament. Under the Constitution, there is but one Parliament consisting of the two houses. The respective roles are well set out. Under Article 153 of the Constitution, accountability of the national government is to both houses equally. The role of the Senate is set out in the Constitution. What is limited, and this is a very important limitation, what is limited is the legislative role of the Senate, not its oversight role, not its representative role. What is limited in the Constitution is the legislative role. That notwithstanding, Mr. Chairman, the Senate does not appear before you. The people who appear before you, who are here today, is the Commission and its secretary. So the Senate becomes short-handed to respond to any of this, because these people appear here, including those senators who come from those commissioners who come from the Commission. They do not come here as senators or representatives of the Senate. They come as a commission, and the clerk comes as a secretary of a commission to make a case for the entire Parliament as a whole. So that should respond to most of the matters relating to the Senate, but those which I am able to answer specifically, I will. On the matter of the expressway, the amount that was alleged was 378,000, not million, not 300 million. And this is an amount, it was really a simple matter, and it's really unfortunate that such a misrepresentation was made to the entire country, and we explained to the senator, but we have no control of what people say on the floor of the House, and that point again was made. What senator said on the floor of the House can be counted on the floor of the House in the other House. But the point is, 378,000 is the money put on the pool. The pool of vehicles is the money put on the pool for vehicles of the Senate, the Senate transport pool. And for that matter, for the National Assembly, the same. They have the same situation. It will be probably 1 million or more. And for that matter, the Commission. And this is done also in ministries. It is a pool amount. So every car that goes through ETC you see in your car 378. The next car that goes is 378 minus 600, another vehicle. And another one coming in at Mlolongo is 378 minus 600, minus 1,200.
Point of order. That money is for who to spend? I think you need to be clear, because we don't have it. Is it for all members of Parliament, or it is for, I think that clarification.
Mr. Chairman.
So that we are not crucified.
Okay. This is the amount for GK vehicles to going through the expressway, and it is amount for the entire pool of GK vehicles. So, for example, if there are 20 years for leadership, and also for pool transport, a vehicle taking staff to the airport will see 378 minus whatever amount.
Chairman, so the allegation was true or was not true?
So the allegation was false. It is out of context. It is a total misrepresentation. it is not money available to the senator for their car. It is money available to the Senate or to the National Assembly for that matter, or to the Ministry of Trade for all the vehicles of the ministry.
So, Chair, it's not the money for individual members, it's the money for the GK vehicles.
Yes.
It has been clarified. Now, members, let me request you be checking there. But I have no problem. There is something we could do. We can just listen to...
Okay, so I think that should respond to that. There was something that was said about the money for drivers for the Senate having been paid, while that of the National Assembly had not been paid. And again, this speaks to challenges about understanding how the different votes operate. The exact opposite was the case for senators for the entire year. The senators, drivers, and bodyguards were not paid for the entire year while the assembly was being paid. They got the money at the end when the others didn't get. So it does not speak to one house or one having a higher budget or not. It is when monies become available. For most of the year, the problem was actually in the other house. So this speaks to understanding that we are just running one parliament. Unfortunately, we have different votes. So this happens all the time. Exchequer has been given for one house. The other hasn't gotten its exchequer. Exchequer is late for one house. The other one has received. We have no control over who gets exchequer first. So if we get exchequer for the National Assembly and we pay the drivers when we haven't received for that, the complaint comes to the Secretary of the Commission, why is the Assembly paid and we are not paid? If on the other hand we receive the exchequer, then now, so we really can't win. We just need to understand that the only way to solve that would be to have one vote for Parliament and one exchequer or exchequer being paid at the same time. And we long ago moved away from that because it wasn't feasible because of our respective programs. The matter of HIV control unit, the DG will speak to it. There was a question about the commission and why it's not ceding any money. Vote 2041. Honorable Chairman and members, Vote 2041 underwrote the expenses for IEBC selection panel and was not given the money. Therefore, they're going to have a pending bill to, first of all, meet that. Then number two, the IEBC selection panel process has begun again for this year. It has begun midway when the budget is already done. The monies required are not in the budget. So the alternatives are Vote 2041 gives out the money, or gives out some money, and then immediately thereafter asks for money for selection panel. The selection panel will be in place in the next 1 week or so. It has to run the most important process for this country perhaps at the time, getting an IEBC. There is no budget for it. The law has required the Commission to fund it and to facilitate, to pay allowances, to pay advertisements, to do all those things without the money for it. So either you take money, then give back money, or you don't take. So this is just what we are asking. Mr. Chairman, I think I will leave it at that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be very brief and I'll speak generally. First, Mr. Chairman, just to remind us on the issue of, let me restate the issue of the drivers and bodyguards. It may not be accurate to look at it from the House's perspective. As National Assembly, we chose to prioritize payments to suppliers. We owed a lot of money to Kenya Airways. And therefore, your bodyguards and drivers came last. It's possible in the Senate, they owe Kenya Airways more money and other airlines and other local suppliers. You can see in terms of the balance of payments, the National Assembly, we are carrying over about 500 million from the last financial year. The Senate about 400 million. So you shouldn't look at it that way. Secondly, Honorable Chairperson, it is said that in times of challenge and adversity, you should try as much as possible to reason together. The Bible tells us, Mr. Chairman, and I'll say it because I'm a Christian, do not be provoked into anger in your spirit, because anger rests in the laps of a fool. It is possible for the houses to start fighting now and look at budget cuts from perspective of houses. May I persuade you as your clerk not to look at budget along those lines? Because at the end, it is Parliament under Articles 94, 95, and 96 which will lose. When the protesters irregularly accessed Parliament, they were not looking for a senator or a member of National Assembly. They actually started in the Senate, notwithstanding that the Senate was not there. They were fighting Parliament. May I persuade you to look at the institution as one? The Senate Oversight Fund is only 1 year old. It's a toddler which is trying to, that toddler has tried to walk before and was unable. It is not time to punish the other house because of anger of this moment. Allow that toddler to at least crawl and walk, Mr. Chairperson. May I truly persuade you? If you start fighting as houses, you can hear now there's a fight between those who have mileage and those who do not have. The next thing will be those who have office operations and those who do not have, because there are those who do not enjoy office operations. Please look at Parliament as one, and do not allow anger to rest in your laps. Mr. Chairman, on the issue of development budget, there are areas for cuts in development budget that probably we can avoid. Remember, even though we have finished Bunge Tower, there are still commitments which have not been made. Why sometimes lifts are not functioning the way they should is because we have not paid the suppliers. There are rooms inside Bunge Tower which do not have the microphone system, the sound system. That, Honorable Chairperson, in 2007-08, when we almost went under as a country, when we fought, the country lost in terms of visitors visiting the country. People are not going to hotels. And then what the then leadership advised is, please have locals visit our hotels. That's the time we were doing the new constitution, 2008, 2009. And we were advised, please go to Naivasha, because they are not tourists anymore. Because there are Kenyans there who also work in those hotels. So that even as you cut domestic travel, do not cut it because of anger, because we are being asked. Remember, you have an economy to support. If those entities collapse tomorrow, where shall we collect taxes from? There's some money which is being targeted for cuts across all sectors, including Parliament, which support internship, for instance. We take interns. Those are the Gen Zs, Mr. Chairperson. If we agree to cut it because of anger, if we cut that flesh, Mr. Chairperson, we end up punishing our own citizens, so that we shouldn't make decisions out of anger. On the issue of 0 to 350, Mr. Chairperson, may I remind you, there's a bill in the National Assembly, Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill. It is undergoing second reading, and it was giving the Parliamentary Service Commission the power to make those decisions so that you stop relying on SRC. Finally, Mr. Chairman, because of probably the anger that was there in the public, when somebody went to a Gazette notice and fished out the annual increment for members of Parliament, which ought to have come this year. And there were reactions from members themselves. I received letters from members of Parliament, a few members of the National Assembly telling me, do not increase my salary. And I reminded those members that, the Commission or Parliament does not determine your pay. please address your letter to the SRC so that when you fight amongst yourselves, the loser is the institution of parliament. Please do not fight across the houses when you're making decisions on budget cuts. On foreign travel, Mr. Chairperson, I agree with you. There are areas which we can cut, but there are also some areas which only bones are left. Decisions will be made at Pan-African Parliament that affect Kenya. If we do not send a delegation to Pan-African Parliament, Kenya will suffer. Decisions will be made relating to economic partnership agreements, EPAs, at ACPU. Does Kenya need representation there? Yes, it does, Mr. Chairperson. So tiptoe on it, see areas where we have excess fat, cut, but do not make decisions, Mr. Chairperson, with anger. It will not help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, okay.
I associate myself with the two clerks. The issue of the repairs, which was asked by yourself, Honorable Chairman, and Honorable Naisula, there was substantive damage. The fiscal damage that has been estimated so far is about 100 million. We are yet to get the estimates from the system side, especially the security system, which is likely to be quite high. There was insurance for buildings and fire, so that will be taken care of. But the insurer has indicated to us items they will not cover, for example, systems, and this may be significant. So that will be why we are indicating there will be a cost on the commission. Then Honorable Mushira asked about the HIV. We have a small budget that has been there over the years. In the government accounting process, HIV and AIDS has been allocated 1.8 million across Parliament. We use this money especially to sensitize not only on HIV, but even on drug abuse and the likes. The amount is very small, it's 1.8 million, Chairman. Yes, mostly sensitization around drug abuse and related items. Staff, it's a budget on staff. Chairman, there's a matter raised around CPST. It was raised by Honorable Shinali and a number of members. We have contractual obligations. This project has been running for the last 2 years. This is the 3rd year. The last financial year, Chairman, you recall, you decreed that the Commission only allocates 145 million. That is the only amount of money that was paid. There were certificates which had been pending from the previous financial year, not 2023, 2024, 2022, 2023. Works have continued, but at a reduced pace of doing things. There are likely to be costs, claims from the contractors. Very similar. If we don't address the issue of payments, we are likely to face the same problems Bunge Tower had, where works completed in 2018 were being paid in 2023, Mr. Chairman. And these have contractual obligations. Then the Honorable Mukami indicated about the quality of furniture. We may want to address this specifically. These were standard furniture that was supplied. It is maybe possible that what was supplied to your office may not have been appropriate. We'll be able to personally address this. Then Honorable Robbie's point, the facilities at CPST. Once the CPST center is completed, you have a complete conference hall that can be used as a chamber for National Assembly, and there is a facility that can be used as a chamber for Senate. There are also committee rooms there, so it's not just a training center. So, but we'll be guided as you will indicate, Chairman. I will end there. Thank you.
Chairman, with your permission, allow me to invite the commissioners to do their final.
Thank you. Chair, I have listened in shock as our colleagues attack Senate on issue of oversight. I've listened to them talk about, but those are the issues that have already been sorted. But I persuade you members, Article 1 of the Constitution, power belongs to the people of Kenya, and they're the ones who made Senate for themselves. So we are here by law. So I would persuade you, the issue of oversight, it has been explained by Atandi, because when I go to Laikipia, I need to go to other areas. So I've listened to Mushira saying that you don't need to go and see the road that's being done. Mushira, you need to go and confirm that the road has been done, because we have known what governors say. So it is important when I'm oversighting, I need to go to the ground. So members, I persuade you, I persuade you, Senate is a house, and your colleagues, if they make statements in Senate, you can hear they're talking about 357,000, and the information sometimes they give was not correct. About CDF, there's no doubt in my mind that CDF has done a good job. Everybody knows. Even a blind, if he can't see, he can touch. So I am with you. But please, oversight. Wacheni iendelee. I thank you.
Commissioner Madama?
Chairman, I want to suggest the wording. One, you need to scrutinize this budget carefully, Chairman. There are issues that you would find there, they are not viable. Let me give you an example. Under Kibaki, we had fish ports, which took billions of shillings. None of them is functioning today. Chairman, we had under Moi, Kenya Industrial Estates, pumped billions of shillings. It does nothing today. We had, Chairman, the purchase of the Passat cars, Volkswagens, to reduce expenditure by the ministers. None of them is existing today. We went back to where we started from. Study this budget carefully. Even before you start saying, katai, you find there are useless things that has been budgeted for that does not benefit Wananchi. Chairman, the other thing which I want to raise is the oversight fund. Please, my fellow members of parliament here, my good friends, be careful. You know, you are chasing a rabbit when the gazelle is passing there. You have forgotten that you are 10 of you and the rabbit is not enough to give you enough meat. Go for the gazelle. What I'm trying to say is this. Where Makali Mulu comes from, the county comes from, has 8 constituencies, Chairman. With 8 constituencies, it's under one governor who receives 13 billion shillings per year. If that money is given to the constituencies, work on making your constituencies to be the county and quarters. If that money is given to Makali Mulu, 1.3 billion shillings, on top of what he gets, 150, that is 1.2 billion shillings. In 5 years, Chairman, we will never ask President of Kenya, where is development for this money? Oversighting this Naisura, how do you allow 13 billion shillings under one hand and then there is no oversight? Please go and oversight for that money. Allow the senators. Don't fight your brothers in the Senate. They are part of you. Don't fight members of parliament and senators. They are part of you. As Joroke said, if one loses on the other side, all of you lose. About furniture, Chairman, we implemented a project that we found. And we were told that is the quality that was agreed for, because you also raised issues about furnitures. So I raise my
Thank you. 1 minute.
Chair, we agree we will support Senate for oversight. But does the National Assembly oversight? Maybe one of them can answer that. It is good to support Senate. Does the National Assembly oversight?
Please, closing remarks.
Thank you.
Closing
Thank you, Chairman. I'll be very brief. Chairman, mine goes on CPST. CPST, like any other organization, today if you go to Central Bank, they have the school at on Thika Road, where like a day like today you'd be at CPST if it was completed, where we have accommodation, we have the conference rooms, and we also have chambers. Just in case that day on 25th, Parliament would have come down, we would have moved to CPST, because that is what was in the plan when CPST was coming. We've gone so far that it will be unfair to leave it as a white elephant, because we've already put in some money. So my prayer is, let us look at such buildings so that we can complete them. Tomorrow we'll be proud to say that the 13th Parliament made progress by bringing CPST to what it will be in future. The other issue was on, that one has been talked to, on repairs of National Assembly. There was an insurance cover. it's doing what it can do, and we pray. When it comes to Senate and the National Assembly, you are one. You are sisters and brothers. Today you're in National Assembly, tomorrow you'll be in the Senate. So let us work together as one family. Thank you, Chairman.
Finally, let me thank you, members, for your resilience. You've been very patient with us. Chairman, I just want to say thank you so much. I can see now we understand each other for this time. However, not tomorrow, Chairman, I'd want to hear Kawanjiku say the project CPST was 2 billion. Why is it now 3 billion? The reason it will be 3 billion, because your vice chair said, let us suspend all payments for 1 or 2 years. Now, if CPST has a 964 million, in 2 years' time, it is 25% of penalties and interest. That will create another 1 billion. So next year, CPST will have a pending bill of 3 billion. So please, I request to Chairman, in your wisdom, let us pay all the pending certificates, then we suspend everything for 1 year, so that no contractor will come and claim for penalties and interest. Otherwise, Chairman, we will be going back and forth. Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you very much, members.
Chair, actually, PSC should go relaxed that we don't have an issue between Senate and National Assembly. We are also just communicating to our colleagues, and as we are the converted, don't preach to us. As we are saved, talk to the Senate.
Members, thank you very much. Thank you very much, members. And thank you very much. Please.
Chair.
Thank you. No more. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Chair, Senate found us relaxing, they poked us.
Please.
Go and talk to them.
Please, sit first. So, members, I want to thank you very much for this session. We have given this session sufficient time. There is no other MDA that we have been with for that kind of time, because we value what you do. And the fact that the buck stops here. You have no other departmental committee to go to. So thank you very much for that presentation. We'll be making our determination possibly today, because we anticipate to table this report tomorrow. And therefore we want to move quick so that we don't experience a government shutdown.